power or to continue being in power. How many people have been killed by the political class since 1963? These problems did not start with Ruto. Even during Uhuru's time, this was happening. There was the Yara River. Nobody was held accountable for the killings that happened during Uhuru's time also. Because politicians are out to enrich themselves and to get about their self-interest at the expense of the majority of the people of Kenya. I cry for Africa. I don't know who cast Africa. I don't know who cast the black people. Somebody said that the contradiction, yes, the contradiction of the black man, of the black man's life, is that he doesn't put it. Corruption kills more people and doesn't put it. Corruption is worse than genocide. Corruption must die for humanity to become free. Resist corruption! Resist corruption! Corruption has made us beggars in our land. Corruption has induced us into beggars in our own country, the land of our fathers, in a country that is richly endowed with minerals and other resources. Corruption must die for this country to become free. And we must also fight external interference by foreigners in the affairs of our country. That is what's happening in Burkina Faso, Niger, Burundi, and Mali, the so-called Sahel states. They have said this, that they are kicking away, or they have cut off all military ties with the French, their former colonial colonizer. We must also cut all ties with the British. British are still ruling us. They are still being colonized by British. They are still a British company. IBA, East African British, East African Video, or whatever it was. Now we must wake up, my people. This generation must wake up. We must wake up and rise above the lies of the political class. We must expose the lies of the ruling class. We have to save this country. We have to save this nation. We must rise also above hate. I mean, tribalism must die for our country to become free. Tribalism is the curse of this nation. Tribalism is a disease of the mind. Tribalism is a state of the mind. Tribalism is a ploy which politicians use to perpetuate themselves in power. The ruling political elites have historically used tribalism to divide and conquer. But now we must become wise and resist all this cruel manipulation of the poor by just the other day, the Mozambicans or the people of Mozambique came after us. They came after the so-called Gen Z's revolution. Yes, they came after the Gen Z's and they have prevailed. They have chased away their president from town or from Maputo. Why are we failing here in Kenya? Why are we failing? We must ask ourselves questions. We must analyze the situation and come up with an ideology, a unifying ideology that will free us from these greedy and bloodthirsty capitalists who have no mercy. They show us no mercy. They do anything and get away with it because also our courts are corrupt. Justice cannot prevail in a corrupt society. That's one thing you must realize. Justice can never be found in a corrupt society. Let's stop lying to ourselves. Let's start become serious about these things. Let us wake up our minds. I mean, let us think. Because it's the only way out. And it's very dangerous for people to think that they are thinking but actually they are not. As Kenyans, we have refused to think. That is why we are always being defeated by the political class. I think everything in this country is about or revolves around the theatrics and the shenanigans of the political class, including what is happening here now today at DCI Kiambu. Well, Gachaguas was in power just the other day. And when our people were killed, the Gen Zs were killed, Gachaguas was in power. What did he do about the Gen Zs? Now we are here that we are coming out to protest about Gachaguas. I can never do that. That is nonsense. Gachaguas is guilty. And he has blood on his hands, the blood of the Gen Zs, those who were killed on July 25th. He was in power. He was the deputy president of this country. And everything wrong with this country stands, or rather starts at his door and the door of the president. The buck stops at the door of the president and the deputy president, the former deputy president. We must stop swallowing bait who can sink the lives of the political class. It is so sad that African leaders have got to kill their people to remain in power or to continue being in power. How many people have been killed by the political class since 1963? These problems did not start with Ruto. Even during Uhuru's time, this was happening. There was the Yara River. Nobody was held accountable for the killings that happened during Uhuru's time also. Because politicians are out to enrich themselves and to get about their self-interest at the expense of the majority of the people of Kenya. I cry for Africa. I don't know who cast Africa. I don't know who cast the black people. Somebody said that the contradiction, yes, the contradiction of the black man, of the black man's life, is that he expects his oppressor to become his liberator. It will never happen. Kenyans, Africans, we must liberate ourselves. We cannot wait for nobody. It is we, the people who are alive today, who have got to stand up and expose this system and destroy this system from our minds. To overthrow this system, we first have got to overthrow this system from our minds. What do I mean by that? What I'm saying is the problem is with us. The problem is the mindset of the African person. Marcus Garvey said that the man who refuses to make use and develop his mind will become the slave of the man who is ready to develop and make use of his mind. That is why we are being oppressed, because we are refusing to make use of our minds. Steve Biko said, the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. My people, we must think. I don't know what is so hard about us coming together and thinking together and reasoning together, because that will be our only way out. The situation of our country is getting worse. Every single waking day, things are getting worse. And we are all watching in silence as this goes out in our country. As things get worse in our country. They're so sad that we call ourselves educated, that we are civilized. How are we civilized if we are the people who allowed Ruto to become president? We are the people who elected these people into power. I don't know how it happens, but one thing also I know is that we cannot wait for 2027. We cannot wait. Our problems cannot wait. Because we are losing lives. We are losing young people. They are dying every day. Look even at the situation of our health care system. It is symbolic for the poor people. And even today, our doctors, because of being demoralized, they are losing it. We have heard the story of a doctor, of an intern, who killed himself in Thika just the other day. Yes, an intern doctor killed himself in Thika because of work stress, frustration. There's also the issue that the threading of a doctor who died at Kenyatta Hospital because of the same thing. Work stress hardship. They have made us slaves in our own country. The systems are so set to make us work 365 days with no days off. And we are going to need to show for it. As I was saying, there was a statistic, rather research that was done by the Standard newspapers. And they say 4 out of every 5 Kenyans cannot make ends meet. Because we have normalized corruption in our country. Because politicians steal and loot and nothing happens to them. They even kill and we still elect them into power. We have a long way to go as a people. We have a long way to go as a generation. We have a long way to go as people of Africa. Unless we unite. Africa, unless we unite. Problems will keep recurring. And getting more complicated.
Akituzanga wazee, unamwona akiprimia